Everybody, let's go over my Tyranid list here. Baby's first niddo list. I made one earlier, a video like this earlier today, but I scrapped that list and I went to another list. This one is the one I was thinking about, but I found a way to make it work. I call it the Tyranid Apoosh. Tyranid Poosh. Apoosh Tyranids. It's questing tendrils, Kraken hive fleet. So when a unit with this adaptation advances, roll 3 dice and pick the highest to add to the move characteristic of all models in the unit for that movement phase. In addition, such units can fall back and charge in the same turn. So if you get charged, you can fall back, you can advance backwards and charge them if you want to. That's not what this list is. The list is quite about. I will be advancing backwards to spam charges, but that's just the way it is. Because that's just something I would do for charge bonuses. That's not really why this list is this list. So, starts off with Broodlord. He's 162 points. He's got Brood Telepathy, which is rerolls 1s on Gene Stealers and Broodlords. Chameleonic Mutation, which is the Relic. He's also the Warlord. And that subtract all hit rolls from ranged weapons that target this model. We might take that off, actually. I thought it was all hit rolls flat, but it is what it is. It'll help him survive. Heightened Senses, he never suffers negatives to his hit rolls. Lightning Reflexes, 5-up invuln. Shadow in the Warp, -1 with Psychers with an 18. Models, swift to deadly models in this unit can charge even if they advance this turn, and he's a synapse creature, so 12-inch synapse. Also, he has the power onslaught, which with an 18 inches, the friendly unit can shoot if it advanced without suffering any penalties, or even moving and firing heavy weapons even, and you can also charge after advancing. You can kind of see where this is going at this point. Then there's the Hive Tyrants. Hive Tyrant, who's a singular, who is naked. Well, actually, we'll go up over the profile real quick. The Broodlord knows 1, denies 1. He'll, go on onslaught. He's 8-inch move, 2-up weapon skill, strength 5, toughness 5, wound 6, attacks 6, leadership 10, save 4-up armor, 5-up invuln. He's got the monstrous rending claws, and we'll go over those in a second, because that's what the Hive Tyrant also has. It's a 148 points. He has the adrenal glands and 2 monstrous rending claws. Most of the adrenal glands, I just had extra points. The adrenal glands add 1 to advance and charge distances. He's got Death Rose, which is a 3-inch explosion for mortal wounds. He's also got Psychic Barrier, which is a 4-up invuln. He's got Shadow in the Warp, the 18-inch -1, and he's also a Synapse that is 18 rather than 12. He casts 2, knows 2, and denies 1. He's a 12-wound character. I would probably get another onslaught on him and maybe something else. I haven't really thought about that. Probably something that would buff melee. Like I said, baby's first niddo list. They also have Monstrous Rending Claws, which is Strength User. He also has Monstrous Rending Claws, which is Strength User. AP -3, damage D3. You can reroll failed wound rolls with this weapon. In addition, each time you make a wound roll of 6 plus, that hit is resolved as an AP -6, damage flat 3. The Hive Tyrant stats are: he is a melee weapon skill of charted, so it's 2-up, 3-up for the weapon skill, ballistic skill, 3-up on the first one, 3-up, 3-up, so he loses 1 on a second, loses a melee weapon skill on his chart, and then 4-up, 4-up. He's 9-inch move, then 7-inch move, then 5-inch move, toughness 7, strength 6, 12 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 10, 3-up armor, 4-up invuln. We already talked about that 4-up invuln. Tyranid Prime, he's got adrenal glands. He's got an Alpha Warrior that rerolls hits for all the warriors and primes. Also, he's a Shadow in the Warp, and he's also a Synapse at 12. He's also got Flesh Hooks, which is a Strength User, Assault 2, Range 6. This weapon can be fired within 1 inch of an enemy unit and can target the enemy units within 1 inch of friendly units. him being a Tyranid Prime, he's a movement 6, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 3, strength 5, T5, wound 6, attacks 4 creature. Then you get into the Gene Stealers. There's 2 groups of Gene Stealers. One's 16 Gene Stealers, one's 14 Gene Stealers. Flurry of Claws, if they have 10 or more models, they get 4 attacks. Infestation is a deep strike that I won't be using. If somebody dies, you can do something. It's completely irrelevant to this list, but we'll read it. If an army if your army includes any Gene Stealers, any units of Gene Stealers, you can place up to 4 infestation nodes anywhere in your deployment zone when your army deploys. You can set them up, Gene Stealers lurking, instead of placing them on the battlefield. If an enemy model is ever within 9 inches, the node is destroyed and removed from the battlefield. Whilst they are friendly infestation nodes on the battlefield, then you can stop lurking at the end of your movement phase and set up wholly within 6 inches of a friendly infestation node. That node is removed from the battlefield. If the unit is still lurking when the last friendly infestation node is removed, the unit is destroyed. That's actually not that bad, but it's still kind of irrelevant to how this list works. I might put 1, seeing as how I only have 2, and I want them both there for a large hammer. I don't know if I'll ever be deep striking them. I might, to save them from getting shot into bits. It's a little bit better than I thought, actually. A little bit better than I thought, actually. They're alright. But they could be way better. Way better. They also have the lightning reflexes and the advanced charge. They are movement 8, weapon skill 3 up, 4 up, strength and toughness 4, 1 single wound, attacks 3, 4 attacks from 15 of them. 5 up armor, 5 up invuln. They also have acid mods because they're free, which is a strength user, AP -3, damage 1. And rending claws, each time you make a wound roll of 6, it's AP -4. There's 2 of them. One of them has 16, one of them has 15, as I said. Then we move on to the Tyranid Warriors. There's 5 Tyranid Warriors in a single group. One has Lash Whip and Bone Swords. The rest have Scything Talons, and there is Adrenal Glands in the whole group. The Lash Whip and Bone Sword is because I had points, but it's also not exactly bad, because if I get into combat, he dies first and he still attacks. They have Adrenal Glands, Shadow on the Warp, and they're also Synapse. I'm not going to have Synapse problems, guys, although I have a bunch of Synapse in this list. Half of my list is Synapse. Also, they're also movement 6, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 4, wounds 3, and attacks 4, because they have the Scything Talons, except for the one with the Lash Whip and Bone Sword, which is 3. But at the same time, I guess 6 isn't a big deal. I'm just used to my Death Guard and my Orcs, which are both 5, but not 5 because they advance. It's complicated. Don't worry about it. And we have, at last, a Carnifex, who's got Adrenal Glands. He's the Instinctive Behavior, a Living Battering Ram, Monsters Brood. The Living Battering Ram, which is a 4 up on a charge. They suffer a mortal wound in addition. He adds 1 to hit rolls, and he also has tusks. You can add 1 to hit rolls if he's charged in the preceding charge phase. And he's also the Monstrous Brood, which is like, large creatures that set up and then don't act as a unit. Set up as a unit, don't act as a unit. That's what it does. He's movement 7, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 6, toughness 7, 8 wounds, attacks 4, leadership 6, 3 up save. He's got a bone mace, which is the strength 8, AP -1, damage D3 weapon that just is a bonus attack. He's got monsters crushing claws, strength -2 times 2, AP -3, damage 3, subtract 1 when attacking with this weapon. Monsters scything talons, strength user, AP -3, damage 3. So what this list does, I call it the Tyranid Poosh for a reason. Because the Hive Fleet I'm going has opportunistic advance, which allows me to add 2 dice 6 advance, and I think I roll 3 dice 6 and then pick the 2. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's the way it goes. So I roll 3 dice 6, pick 2, add that to a unit of Gene Stealers, and then I double move my Patriarch with either his psychic ability or the forced movement, and then I double move the other Gene Stealers with, again, the psychic ability or the forced movement. And if I had the Swarm Lord, I would also push somebody else with the shooting phase, which would just be the Gene Stealers. But say I only push one unit of Gene Stealers, another one hangs back, do something else, and I push the I forget his name, the Patriarch. He goes forward, but I also push the Carnifex. Or instead of the Gene Stealers, I onslaught the Warriors forward, and then I onslaught, and then I forced march the Tyranid Prime. I'm going to be doing the characters with the Mortal Wounds thing that they can advance twice, because the force advances, they can move twice in the movement phase, but they also suffer a mortal wound is the way I think it goes. It might not be the movement phase, it might be shooting. But when they do that, I don't know, they don't really have shooting anyway, so that's not a big deal. But when they do that, I'm only rolling one dice on the character, so then I can re-roll that, so I have to get ones on ones for my character to suffer a mortal wound. Well, I get all this increased movement. I think I've explained it. Really fast Gene Stealers, really fast command unit for that Gene Stealers. Basically, it's really fast. That's what this list does. It goes fast, and then it charges. We go fast, and then we spam charges while the rest of the guys catch up, and then they go fast, and they spam charges. They go super. We all go fast. We go fast. Buddy, this is gonna be ridiculous. Because ideally, I send in 3 units. Like a Carnifex, maybe a Swarm Lord. That's why he's there too. I have a couple big hit units. I got some bruisers hanging around, and I send the bruisers in. And they're all hit units. They're all bruisers. One of them, maybe the Warriors are actually there to waddle around on objectives. Be like, we are objectives. But I might cut them for like gaunts or something. But the light speed Gene Stealers are actually pretty fun, and I have enough to I need one more to get the 16 group, so we'll figure that one out. At the end of the day, I think this list is pretty good. Deuces.